coach in America.
How do you work that into the lottery?
Well, hell, he signed his contract for nothing. He didn't have to pay $1. I wouldn't have paid him $1.
You know what? That's about his buyout, isn't it? 810.
Yeah. Wow, close. Whatever.
Anyway, it's the lottery jackpot. You can get up there and take a chance.
One of his coaches might go ahead, make a quick flight down and apply for it because they need some for the collective. Considering but according to his dumb ass, they don't pay anybody. That was the first lie.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So the question this morning, and Paul Feinbaum asked this, and I thought it was a great question. You take the 14 SEC teams, and some of them are more than one, but some of them are within one. What's the one key piece for an SEC team to be a conference champion, to go out and win the West or win the East? Not a national championship, but what is the one key piece that your team or all 14 teams need to win the SEC, to win the West or win the East? If you're Alabama, what's the one thing? If you're Georgia, this is the one thing. Those are the two schools that are probably one thing that you could pinpoint. Texas A&M, LSU, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky. They might need one or two things, or three or four, but there's that one big glaring thing with all of them that they would need.
Consistent quarterback play and health at the position. That's what everybody needs. If you don't have a healthy quarterback, you have no chance. Even Alabama, because you've got talented players like Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson behind Bryce Young, but they're unproven. So you have to have a healthy quarterback. That's the biggest and most important thing. Dirt Neck, they don't even know their quarterback's going to be, but they certainly they'll probably try to tell you that Haynes King, if he'd have been healthy last year and didn't get hurt against Colorado, that Jimbo would talk fast and 1,000 words a minute and tell you they would have won the SEC or that maybe even the national championship. Of course, then that would be about 15 more lies where the detector would go off. But
we didn't get to see, in all fairness, though, we didn't get to see Haynes King do a lot of stuff.
And our good friend Owen Buchanan said at SEC Media he still has him leading. Though Max Johnson, if you look at both guys, Max Johnson has won SEC games and played more. And, so personally, I would say Max has the edge going in for me because he's actually played. And then I would ask Dirt Neck, but he would cut me off again probably. But why did you go out and get him then if you think Haynes King is the truth? Probably he would say for insurance because you need more than one guy at the position. But to me, I personally think he went to get him because Max Johnson beat him last year. Remember, Ed Ogeron's last victory of his career as a head coach, because he'll never be one again, ever, unless it's at St. Catholic High School in Louisiana or somewhere. But he'll never be a head coach on the college level again. Beat Texas A&M, late in the game. Yeah, that's right. Ed Ogeron beat Dirt Neck. Ed Ogeron beat Dirt Neck. Ed Ogeron beat Dirt Neck. That's right. And so they went and got and of course they also have Max's brother who was going to go to LSU, got out of his letter of intent and went to Texas A&M. So they have both brothers there as Aggies. But again, I don't know how good Haynes King is. He's got a great reputation coming out of high school. Personally, the last time I saw him was 2 years ago against Alabama when they were down 28, when they were down 28, when they were down 28.
But you were impressed with him, though, in the backup role that he came in.
I actually was not. I didn't think his arm looked great. I thought the ball fluttered. You could tell he was athletic. Now, you could tell he could run, no question about that. I thought it looked like he had a pop gun arm. That's just me. The ball kind of looked like he was throwing a balloon. But that's just one instance, and he was a true freshman. So that's why I'd like to see. And then when you looked at it against when they had beat Kent State, the week before in his first start, I think he threw 2 or 3 picks. But I believe Olin told me a couple of those were off receivers' hands. But still, his stat line wasn't awesome in that game. So I don't know. I'm not as sold on Haynes King. I think it's a lot of hype. Shocker. Texas A&M would be about a lot of hype, Scott. I mean, that's just stunning that they would hype themselves up. But I personally, I liked Max Johnson. I thought there was a chance he might stay and play for Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly is really good with the quarterback position, but he bailed quick. And obviously his dad, Brad Johnson, Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and a guy that played a long time in the NFL, waited his turn at Florida State and became a good quarterback under Coach Bowden. Obviously, to me, it says a lot that they didn't want to go to FSU, his alma mater, but we'll see. I mean, I think personally, I like Max. I think he's underrated. I think he's going to win that job, and we'll see where he can direct Dirt Next team and see if they can actually live up to the hype. They were picked number 2 in the media poll. I picked them 4th because I think they're 8-4 university and they're gonna lose 4 again. But we'll see. Certainly, I hope they lose 12. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately for me. But that you can always hold out hope.
All right, so 256-576-4977. That is the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. So just to make you feel better, ESPN, and I don't even know why we play the games anymore, ESPN has predicted probabilities, or they game-by-game predictions for every team basically in the country for this coming fall season. And we're not going to go over all, 160 teams. We'll go over 4 of them real fast. Texas A&M, we'll start there. Since you are a Jimbo Fisher Texas A&M fan, we will go there. So ESPN has given them a 98.4% chance of beating Sam Houston State.
Well, congrats.
That's why they want to keep those games on the schedule.
98 point what?
98.4. So it's not 100%.
So I got a 1.6% chance of being happy in this game. Yep. I'm gonna hold out hope for that. That'll be where I spend my dollar. I'm gonna spend my dollar hoping Sam Houston State beats the spread. Thanks.
So Appalachian State, Texas A&M has an 84.4% chance of winning that game.
Hey, I'm rooting for Appalachian.
Yep. So
Ron White's son plays there.
So that's 2-0 for Texas A&M out of the gates. Miami at home on the 17th of September. I'm going to give Texas A&M a 56.3% chance of winning that game. So Texas A&M would be off to a 3-0 start. Arkansas at home. Well, not at home. That is a neutral site game.
Yeah.
60.2% chance of winning. So Texas A&M's off to a 4-0 start.
Let's go Hogs.
Okay. Mississippi State on the 1st of October. ESPN gives them just a 48.8% chance to win
Who won that game last year, by the way?
Mississippi State.
Yeah, the Pirate beat Dirt Neck.
So there's one loss for Texas
Station.
A&M, according to ESPN. Mm-hmm. That's one loss. That's one loss.
I'm really feeling bad about that pick now after we talked to Matt Wyatt yesterday. I knew they had a lot of starters back, but I didn't realize they had the most starters back in the SEC. So now I feel kind of crazy for picking them last.
I did too, by the way.
You picked them last?
I picked them last as well.
I mean, but I think they're all going to make bowl games.
And it's not because I don't like Mike Leach.
No, but I mean, it's the toughest division. And
it's where do you slot Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State?
I'm not. See, a lot of people we saw that in the consensus, Auburn was picked last. I couldn't pick Auburn last. We're going to go over.
I got their probabilities too, and that kind of goes to why I couldn't do it. But this will make you happy. On the 8th of October, Texas A&M travels to Alabama.
Mm-hmm. 65-0.
9% chance of winning the game in Tuscaloosa. A 9%.
Hopefully there'll be a 0 chance.
But that's back-to-back losses right there. So there's 2 losses for Texas A&M, according to ESPN. South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Florida, they are favored to win. So there's 3 more wins for Texas A&M. Auburn, they are favored to lose.
We already have this soundbite. It's been legendary.
We already have it. And Smokey Mike, you're going to have to figure it out and remember. Chad hit it. But we actually have Drew saying War Eagle.
Yes, I've already picked Auburn in this game. I'm going to ride them. to the bitter end. Let's go.
And then UMass, and then they follow up with an LSU home game to close out the year, and they give them a win there. So
why?
They give Texas A&M a win. So 9-3.
Let's go LSU.
9-3 is what ESPN predicts for Texas A&M this year. 9-3. Remember, we asked Olin Buchanan, is this a double-digit win season for Texas A&M? And his words I believe, were, it better be.
Yeah, he said it would be disappointing if they didn't win 10.
And ESPN only has them slated to win 9.
Well, I've got them slated to win 8. Well, actually, none. I wish none.
They're not going to go.
But I know that's not going to happen. But I wish it would be 0-12. Let me just reiterate that. But I'm got them going losing 4 at least again. I really do. I think Alabama's going to whack them. I think Arkansas and LSU have a really good shot. I mean, I'm going to be rooting hard for Harsin. Huddle with Hars. Hopefully they can have a podcast after whacking. And by the way, rest in peace, Paul Sorvino. We got to use the term whack today because it's the greatest mob movie of all time. That's of course Goodfellas. But but again, I definitely hope that the Aggies have at least 4 L's on the schedule, and then we'll see the climate around Dirt Neck then when he's bought the greatest recruiting class of all time, and they still lose 4.
So there's an ambulance chasing attorney. I believe he's out of Nashville.
Is there?
That sounds. I want you to listen to this. It sounds just like his commercial sound. He sounds like Jimbo Fisher, by the way.
Oh wow.
Why is it not?
Oh.
I can hear it a little bit. I just can't.
Oh, I can hear it a little bit too.
Why is it not?
But I don't hear a lie detector going off in the background.
I have to figure out why it's not. Because maybe if I hit the right computer slide.
Oh.
Here we go.
Tricks that cops use during interrogation. They'll say, this is your last chance to tell us your side of the story. Now, don't fall for this. You may think that you're explaining your innocence, but in actuality, you're giving them information to lock you up.
I hope Anaya Smith didn't do that.
Like I said, he sounds like Jimbo Fisher.
I mean, because we already know Anaya's never made it to SEC Media Days.
No, he did
He
not.
showed such a great leadership that
he
got pulled over and arrested.
We weren't expecting him, though,
we
believe
he'll be back. Things happen.
Oh, by the way, Powerball, B. Rich tells me it's $2 a ticket.
Oh, $2?
Yeah.
Well.
And he says he knows because he's got many.
Oh.
So he is in part of the $810 million.
Well, I know this. I'm confident enough in B. Rich. If he wins the $810 million, he's not going to give any of it to Dirt Neck.
Oh, man.
Nope.
We need to have like a Dirt Neck Jimbo Fisher bingo card to where once you cross off all of the things, it's done for the day.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm sure B. Rich, he would probably put some money on other squads to beat Dirt Neck. I mean, he would have enough. He would have enough. There you go.
There it is.
He would have enough money to, make a friendly wager, and put the onus on the Texas A&M Chokers.
Texas A&M Chokers. Oh, I got a kick out of this though.
Yeah.
If this happens in the state of Texas, since we're in love with Texas today, ESPN says the Texas Longhorns are going to go 11-1 this year with their only loss to Alabama.
No, what?
Yes, according to ESPN, according to the predictions, they have predicted Texas to be favorites in every one of their games except the Alabama game. 11-1. They are slight favorites over Oklahoma. They are slight favorites over Baylor. They are slight favorites or heavy favorites over West Virginia, Texas Tech. 11-1 for Steve Sarkisian and Texas.
I think they're going to be better. I did say that. I said they'd have a winning record, and hopefully they would beat Kansas, even if they let everybody in free. I mean, they couldn't beat Kansas last year at home. They couldn't beat Kansas last year at home. They couldn't beat Kansas last year at home. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've got to, but again, I do think they're going to be better, but I'm not ready to say that Stark and those guys are going to be 11-1 though. I mean, that's a huge step. I mean, you were 5-7, and now you're going to be. And again, they were aggressive in the portal. I know they made some changes, in their program, but I'm not ready.
You're
to
not
say,
buying 11-1.
No, they've got to learn what tackling is, and that it's not a disease. I'm not. I'm not ready to go there. And again, part of it is because Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma, and there's been a transition, and I guess they're thinking they got a good shot because they almost won it last year. We'll see. And they have a quarterback change. We know that Caleb Williams went to USC, but I'm not ready to put them in a Big Six bowl. I don't think so.
This should be a pleasant phone conversation. Jeff from the Borough with us. Good morning, Jeff.
I hope you heard our segment last week with Freddie Maggard. It was a good one, Jeff. We talked some Kentucky.
Yeah, well, he's pretty optimistic. Kind of like I am, but I'm still surprised they got picked.
Well, I picked them second.
Well, they're better than Tennessee and Florida. They're better than Tennessee and Florida right now. They've got to prove it on the field. They lost to Tennessee last year and still finished second. So hopefully they can beat both of them. They've got to. If they want to win the East or get close, they've got to beat both of them. So, but it's the way it is. But now, guys, Texas might go 10-2. They might lose to Kansas. They don't think.
I mean, that's what. Look, I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year. I mean, that was horrible. Okay, but I don't think they're going to be an 11-1 good. I mean, this is more of that Texas hype again. Texas is back. Texas is back. Texas is back. They win a first quarter over somebody, and their fans start screaming and hollering that they're back. I mean, I'm not ready to say that yet.
Well, what I was going to say is what if they were to beat Alabama? I don't think they will, but they definitely be hollering their back, kind of like Tennessee when Tennessee wins a big game. They think it's 1998 all over again. But I guess, what do you guys think about the allegations they came out with? They won't get much punishment, will they? Or they say
they've already imposed 12 scholarships. I think they're going to get more. Now, there's others that believe they should get a postseason ban, but they're trying to avoid that. But the thing is, it says 18 level 1 violations. You would think that would be grounds for a bowl ban with 18 level 1s.
The question, though, is the NCAA did say they applauded Tennessee for being very proactive instead of reactive.
It was almost a sensationalistic headline, and then then $60,000. I mean, my Lord, they're paying $8 million for a quarterback, and then they're getting all over the head coach and his wife for paying $60,000 and acting like Pat Forty acts like he should go to some Russian prison because he broke a rule. I mean, get a clue.
Yep, they said about Pruitt, if you're gonna cheat, at least be good at it. At least be good. If you don't cheat, I mean, they weren't even good. So. But the thing about it is that they say the NCAA says they want to punish the coaches now and don't want to punish the players and the players that are there and things like that. I don't really understand that. But I guess them breakfast at Chick-fil-A and that McDonald's pretty expensive. $200 worth of McDonald's and a Chick-fil-A breakfast and the nail salon must be pretty expensive. Get the nails done, kind of like Ohio State coaches of fencing and the coach up there. And basketball coach took their players for nail, a manicure and pedicure, so must be pretty expensive to get one of those done. But when your wife's paying players, I mean, ain't no telling, she might have done more than that too. I mean, there's no telling on that. But they did say, somebody was saying yesterday, I had seen where they said it was one of the worst teenagers athletes record. Phil Fulmer, do you think that's true, Drew?
Well, of course. I'm just shocked he wasn't named in the complaint. But, of course, he's, a Tennessee guy, graduate, former player, and former head coach. Won a national championship when he got lucky in '98 when he got about as, even luckier than Georgia, to be honest with you. I always joke about Georgia, but Georgia had some injuries to win the national championship with it to Alabama. Other than that, they really didn't need anything. They didn't have a close game. Tennessee had basically lost until Sterner fumbled, and then if Chris Winke's healthy, they don't beat Florida State. So, again, but he got fired after, losing control of the program as a coach, and then he comes in as AD, and they're paying everybody according to this investigation. And I just find it funny that Fatlock hasn't ended up getting named in any of these investigations.
Well, they like you guys said, they did transparent and all that stuff. They were transparent through the whole process. But still, that to me, that don't make much of a difference. I still think they ought to be punished, but I don't know if they will be or not. We'll just have to wait. We'll have to wait and see on all that stuff. But I did want to say one final thing. I wanted to
make it quick.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I want to congratulate Sidney McLaughlin and Abby Steiner for winning golds at the World Championship. Sidney McLaughlin set her own world record again in the 400 hurdles, 50.68. She set 4 world records in 13 months in that event. So
yeah, she was the first female. Yeah, first female to go below 51. First female to go below 50 in the 400-meter hurdles. They had those World Championships out there in Oregon at Hayward Field. All right, let's get that break in when we come back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN. The Zone continues.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck coming out of Limestone County, 72 in Bledsoe Road. That one may turn out to be a no injury and possibly no blockage. They're checking it now. 565 eastbound near Research Park reported with a minor injury. It should be about ready to clear. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise and the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Come on, we're going to be late to the cookout.
I was just packing up my famous mac and cheese.
I hope you packed the Pepto, too.
Huh?
Pepto-Bismol provides fast relief from heartburn and indigestion. You know, that uncomfortable feeling after you eat too much? And after the deviled eggs, baked beans, and barbecue ribs? You're going to need it.
Barbecue ribs? I should probably pack an extra shirt, too.
Good call.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your Your shingles, we can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Indeed, it is Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond holding court until 9 a.m. this morning. 7:30 as you make your way into work and wherever else you may be headed. I'll get to say back to school here soon because in a couple weeks, everyone will be going back to school. High school football practice is underway. A lot of stuff starting to get back underway here in the Tennessee Valley. But still, time for us to turn our attention and Vanderbilt, they get to open the season. If this would be awesome if you were a Commodore fan and if you like the Islands, because you could watch Vanderbilt take on Hawaii in Hawaii to kick off the new year.
Remember when Alabama had a bowl ban, when they actually were penalized, unlike Tennessee, probably will be, that Mal Moore scheduled 2 trips to Hawaii, Alabama winning one in 2002 before one liar left for Texas A&M, ruined his career. You know, it's so funny how when you go there, you ruin yourself. But that was, of course, Fran Foney. And then in 03,
another Druinary.
Mike Shula loses that game to Hawaii to end his 4-9 season. Which was horrific and just a foreshadowing of failure, where he was going to get fired, and thank goodness Nick Saban was brought in to right the ship. But it's interesting, Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, a 2-10 season in year one, not a lot of expectations still in year two. They were picked, last in the SEC East. But they opened the season at Hawaii, and our next guest is going to join us. He is the publisher of VandySports.com, which, of course, is part of the Rivals Network. Also does a great job covering SEC football with our good friend Blake Lovell with Southeastern14.com, and he's going to talk some Vanderbilt Commodores with us this morning. Chris Lee on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Chris, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Good morning to you.
Good morning. We hope you're doing well, and definitely, and your health is continuing to improve. But I've got to ask you, are you going to be on the plane with Greg Sankey and use your frequent flyer miles and go out to Hawaii?
You know, I wish the expense account provided for that, but it does not. Regrettably, I have tried to sell Hawaii to my wife many a time. When Vanderbilt has gone over there for basketball tournaments and all sorts of things, we have never been able to do that. Unfortunately, I'm paying that one out of my own pocket. But one of these days, it's going to happen. That's one of 2 states I've not been to. I'm pushing that angle too, but so far, no luck.
Well, Clark Lee and Vanderbilt were at SEC Media Days along with everyone else. Your thoughts on what you heard from Clark Lee in Atlanta?
Well, there were 2 things that caught everybody's attention. One was we want to be the best program in the country. Maybe he could have said that a little bit better. I think that got a lot of it's the typical everybody writes about that topic for one day for lack of other things to write about. And is Vanderbilt going to be the best program in the conference or the country? No. I know that sounds silly, but I think I looked at it as it's sort of the concept of aim for the stars, and if you hit the moon, you've done a good thing. I think just any expectation for Vanderbilt football is welcome. So to me, that was kind of a non-story, but I see why people made a big deal of it. The second thing is the quarterback issue. They have announced Mike Wright as a starter.
Yes.
I'm sure if Mike Wright goes to fall camp and falls flat on his face and Ken Fields is the next coming of Joe Montana, that probably changes. But I think their reasoning for that is you look at their personnel, you look at their receiving group, you look at their running backs group. They are better aligned to be a good running team than they are a good throwing team. I think that helps Mike Wright. Wright is a kid who ran a 10,800 meters in high school and, what was probably the fastest kid on the team last year. I don't know that he'll have that title this year because of the recruiting class they just brought in, but I think that gives them a chance, given on the nature of their personnel. If Wright plays well, is more accurate with the ball, they probably got a better chance to win just because of his feet. Nobody in the quarterback room has that kind of ability. So I think that's what's behind that decision. But certainly we'll see how that plays out as they go into practice, which starts, I believe, on Friday.
Yeah, and talk about this offense as a whole. I know they're excited about their running back room. Clark Lee was adamant about that. I think they feel like now they're going to be healthy and going into fall camp. And I know they had some injuries last year. But how good can this offense be? How much better can it be?
Well, I think it'll be better because it's hard to get worse. They've just been dreadful for about 3 years running. The running back room, they're in as good a shape as they've been probably since Keyshawn Vaughn was there, which again isn't saying a lot. But Ray Davis was a kid who had a pretty nice career at Temple before he transferred. He was their starting running back heading into last season. Unfortunately, he had, I think it was a bulky knee that was bothering him in fall camp that bled over into the season where he hurt it. He's had surgery. He's come back. He was limited in the spring, but he looked okay. I think he was close to 100%. He's a kid who can really help them and maybe run for 700, 800, 900 yards. Who knows, maybe more. I think that might get limited because they've got some other guys who can carry the ball. Patrick Smith looked like a respectable option a year ago. They really like Rocco Griffin, even though his yards per carry and his career hasn't been that great. And they've got a kid behind them who reported in spring named Maurice Edwards. He's from Illinois. He was a kid that I think was a really under-recruited back, and he ran a legitimate, they timed him, he ran a legit 4.4. That speed they don't have in that position. So he's a kid, and he's got to learn the pass blocking and all those things. So he wasn't a huge factor in spring, but he's one of those guys that could break through maybe late in the season, have a big game or two, and change the landscape of their running game. But I think they've got some players there. Are they Alabama or Georgia or Florida players? No, they're not. But it's a little bit of an improvement over what they've had. And steady improvement is going to have to be the word for them the next few years because they've just got a pit of a hole to climb out of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And Clark Lee made a point to say that, they've done a better job in recruiting this past offseason to get better. But the depth is still the issue for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I've covered them 20 years now, and memories fade, and I know Bobby Johnson didn't take over a great lot, but I think that, and this was not all Derek Mason's fault, there was plenty of administrative culpability, but what I think Clark was left, and it wasn't just the personnel, it was the discipline, it was the attitudes, it was the just some stuff players had to deal with the school. I think the roster and the program was in the worst shape it's been in the 20 years that I covered it.
Wow.
You saw how that played out on the field a year ago, and that's saying a lot at Vanderbilt, right, guys? Because I've covered some bad teams, but I don't think it was any worse than what Clark Lee took over. I think there's some hope around the corner, but I think in any real change in wins and losses to a meaningful degree is at least a year away, and then probably more like 2.
And then, but they did seem excited about this recruiting class, though. You already mentioned Edwards being brought in as a kid from that was maybe under-recruited at Illinois, and then that's from the state of Illinois. that's going to be the key for this staff. I was really impressed with Clark Lee a year ago. Now this year he set the pace with the longest opening statement, but he's a guy that seems to have a vision. And as far as the recruiting class goes, how big an impact can some of these guys have?
Well, the ratings people liked their class as much as they've liked it in a while. And excuse my dog, I own the world's loudest dog, and he's gotten himself worked up over something. The class was rated as high as it's been in a long time. And I think sometimes, I don't know, when you're Vanderbilt, sometimes the analysts don't maybe do their diligence as much, and 3 stars get handed out pretty easily. I think this is a class, though, where they did their due diligence. They've got metrics and things, and I don't know that they shared the state secrets with me, and if they did, I wouldn't share them with you guys out of respect. But they've got metrics for every position. Like an NFL quarterback looks like this, and he does this, and he does that, and a running back does this and does that. Everybody that they recruit, it doesn't really matter what the analysts say. It's like, does this guy have the traits you need to be a linebacker in the SEC or at the pro level? And so everybody is run through a meticulous check of metrics and speed and stuff like that. If they sign a kid, they're not going to just throw a scholarship at a kid. They're going to sign a kid that they think's got the ability to play pro ball. With that, the analysts still like the class, even though it wasn't the most highly decorated class in the league. They've got parts. A.J. Swan, the quarterback, I think is going to be a player from down the road. I'm not saying this lightly. I would not just drop this comparison, but I think his arm is as strong as Jay Cutler's was when he was here.
Santa Claus, Indiana.
Yep. Yeah. So that's one. They landed some kids on the defensive line who are athletic, which, my goodness, they certainly need that. They've got a kid named Davon Walker from Georgia who's a legit 4.4 guy, probably will be their fastest receiver in the room right away. I'm looking forward to seeing him next week. Just guys like that across the board were athletically and particularly in speed. They have really, really upgraded themselves. Again, look, you can't just plug true freshmen in across the board and expect things to go well in the SEC. So those guys will have to bide their time. But I think their first recruiting class was a real step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. And then defensively, we're excited. This is what I asked Clark Lee about, but you don't see this often, but their 2 defensive tackles along the D-line are both potentially going to start and be from Madison County. And one being Davian Davis, it was at SEC Media Days a year ago, from James Clemens, who played for our good friend Wade Waldrop, now the head coach of the Hoover Bucks, and Malik Langham, lead general, played for Tony Woods. He transferred from Florida to Vanderbilt. According to Clark Lee, maybe one of their most impressive kids physically on the team. So a couple of kids from up here in the Rocket City area, Chris, that could be big parts of that D-line for Vandy.
Yeah, one of the reasons I think it's going to take them a while to rebuild is in the trenches. And I don't mean to be condescending towards other kids on the team, but Langham is the only kid on the team that when he steps off the bus, that physically he looks like he could play at Alabama or Georgia. They just don't have a lot of those kids. He got a lot of reps in spring because they didn't have anybody else for the most part. They were just decimated by injuries. And so if he's improved, that helps him a lot. I think he's the only defensive lineman they've got north of 300 pounds. Davis is a kid who they really, really liked in high school. He's been a leader since he got on campus. He's always been in that rotation. He had an injury, and I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was a knee, but I'm not sure. That held him out of all the spring. They're looking forward to getting him back. I was at workouts the other day, and he was still walking in the stands. So that was probably 4 to 6 weeks ago. I think they hope to have him back for fall camp. We'll see how well he is. But Davion Davis, if healthy, absolutely starts on the defensive line and is maybe the best returning player. Well, I don't think maybe. Probably the best returning player they've got there.
Chris, when you look at this schedule, I mean, obviously the SEC East is a brutal journey. They start in Hawaii. What would be a good result for Clark Lee in year 2 when the season's all done?
I think 3 wins is a good result. Anything above that is really good. I think they could start 2-0 and then maybe go for the rest of the schedule. I think the swing game is Northern Illinois. They'll be a slight underdog in that. That's on the road, but that's hardly a hostile environment. They got a chance to win there. I think if they get 3 at that point, they might lose the rest, and it could still be a good season. In SEC games, I'm going to judge them more on, can they take a couple teams maybe to the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter and still be in the game? I think they're just so far behind in terms of depth and talent. I think winning an SEC game, it's hard to see where they get that other than maybe Missouri. But I just think it's a season where people are going to have to be patient. They're going to need to get some wins in September against the easier part of their schedule, because I think once they get in the league, they're just so far behind everybody else in terms of talent. Again, they've got some athleticism and some other things that they need, but it's young. But I think if they win one league game this year, that'll be one more that I'm expecting to win.
Well, and I was going to ask you, too, defensively, because I remember when this kid came out of Nashville and went to Clemson, and now he's transferred to Vandy. What are they expecting out of Kane Patterson?
Kane's a really good player, maybe the most gifted player in their linebacking room, debatably, and they've got some good ones there. That's the one position where they've maybe got multiple players who could start for other teams. Now, the thing is, Lee kind of runs a 4-2-5. Mm-hmm. So one of their linebackers is sort of a hybrid safety spot. That's the one that C.J. Taylor is going to start at, and DeRicky Wright, who's an Alabama native, who missed spring practice because he was in the transfer portal, elected to come back. If DeRicky can seize that spot, that makes him better because he's one of the better athletes on the team. But the point I'm getting at is the linebacker core is good and it's deep, but they're only going to play really 2 true linebackers. Well, Kane Patterson plays the same spot as Ethan Barr, and they're 2 different types of players. Barr is one of the more boxy, physical kids on the team, although he did lead them with 3 interceptions. He and Patterson are just totally different players, but they're playing the same spot. The other one is Anthony Orji, who's made some preseason All-SEC teams. I don't know how that flushes out because they've got more good linebackers comparatively to the rest of the team than they've got spots for them. So I don't know what Kane Patterson is going to end up in terms of a snap count at the end of the season, but I know he'll be out there a lot just because he's a real talent, and they could use his speed on the field.
No question about it. Chris Lee, the best there is when it comes to the Vanderbilt Commodores. We really appreciate the info and some insight into year 2 under Clark Lee, and we're certainly going to be rooting hard for Davian Davis and Malik Langham from our community. But let everybody know how to follow you guys, your coverage, as you said, fall camp getting ready to crank up for Vanderbilt. And, of course, you guys are going to be covering SEC football as a whole with Southeastern 14.
Yeah, we are, of course, at Vandy Sports, have been there 20 years. We pump out daily content on the website. We're doing previews for fall camp, and we're doing podcasts. I had one with Will Perdue yesterday, the former SEC Player of the Year. Yeah, he's great, isn't he? Who played for the Bulls. So that one came out yesterday. Our SEC stuff, the website is southeastern14.com. More of our stuff, though, right now at YouTube. We're putting out videos just about every day. We will have one out this morning. I think we have Mississippi State's football schedule coming. We'll have Texas A&M's and South Carolina's the next couple of days, which will wrap up our series of schedule previews. So we have previewed every schedule by the time we are done with that of every football team in the SEC. We've got a lot more football coverage coming, and we're going to start a 100 Days to Countdown feature series for SEC basketball. 100 Days Out is coming very soon. We're going to do a different topic every day. There'll be short, quick-hitting videos. I think we're going to do a profile on every coach in the league and some other cool stuff. So if you're a basketball fan, whet your appetite for that because that's coming very soon. And just go to YouTube, look for Southeastern 14, find our channel and subscribe, and you won't miss any of our content there.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, Chris Lee with us, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this Hour 1 Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of the Stanton Law Firm. Stan, I guess you are the Stanton in the law firm.
Yes, Wes, that's me, and we started the Stanton Law Firm so that myself and 4 other attorneys with me can help clients litigate, negotiate, and creatively solve legal and real estate problems.
Now, Stan, you grew up on a family farm in this area and have made a name closing on houses and land with your closing company, Jacob Title.
I grew up on a farm which used to be in the country. That, plus having closed on so many homes and farms, one of my colleagues started referring to me as a classic dirt lawyer. Now, I didn't know how to take that at first, that tag, but I realized that's exactly what I do and what I am.
Dan, I know the attorneys at Stanton Law Firm are regular listeners, and we plan to have you on periodically. You and I have seen have impacted this community.
Stay tuned, and you may hear about friends like Steve Booker, Clarence Johnson, Thomas Boyd, and even a few of those offensive line hogs like Hoss Johnson, and maybe you remember some other of those guys too.
I remember Clarence Johnson. He beat us one year. He was unbelievable.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your installation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
In 1982, Bob Baumhauer introduced Alabama to the Buffalo Wild Wing, and quite frankly, we've never been the same. Back then, it was Wings and Things in Tuscaloosa, but now, 40 years later, after 4 name changes, Baumhauer's Victory Grill is the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. Bob's Alabama Hot Chicken is something that has to be tried to believe, plus the new Bam Bam Chicken and the Louisiana-style Go Fish, a whitefish over rice topped with shrimp etouffee. And Baumhauer's is fighting inflation with some new affordable favorites. Visit Baumhauer's on the South Parkway today.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, I'm Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia in Huntsville, Alabama. We are the proud transportation sponsors of Talking Ball at 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The heat is on,
Yeah, big thanks to Arthur Seaton and University Kia again for helping us cruise over to SEC Media Days in style. We are approaching the end of hour number 1 here on Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. By the way, ESPN did predict Alabama to go 12-0 during the regular season this year. In their probabilities. So no surprise there. As for Auburn, good news. We talked about it. We said 8 wins would be what Brian Harsin would need to stay there. It'd be a good season. ESPN says, hey, that's probable because they feel that Auburn will win 8 games, go 8-4 this year. According to the probability, ESPN FBI win probability numbers, 8 wins. The 4 losses for Auburn would be Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and the Iron Bowl. Those would be the 4 setbacks for
Notice
Brian
who
Harsin.
they got them beaten there.
Yes. We have them, or not we. ESPN has them beating
Dirt Neck University.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 8-4 would be a good.
Yeah, you'd have a chance to win 9 in a bowl game. Probably go to a decent bowl there. And I think that Brian Harsin would be back. Anything less than 8 wins, counting a bowl win, I think would be sketchy.
Yeah.
Because that would mean 9-4, 8-5. I think would get him to year 3, and it should. But if you're talking 6-6 and going to a minor bowl, then I think there would be a lot of unrest. That's why we've said this 5-game homestand to start the season for Auburn is huge. Kind of the swing game is week 3 against Penn State at home, and then they bring LSU to wrap up that 5-game homestand with Brian Kelly and Auburn. Remember, really, it was probably their brightest moment of the Harsin first season. They nearly upset Alabama, but they did end that long losing streak in Baton Rouge since '99, where Bo Nix played brilliantly, and they came back to beat Ed Ogeron and basically put the nail in his coffin to send him out of town.
Were you shocked? Because we didn't get a chance to, because Brian Harsin talked to everybody in the big room after our show. We didn't get a chance. We heard from Brian Harsin during our show, but we didn't get to really break it down. Were you shocked that he addressed the offseason right out of the gates at SEC Media Days?
Not exactly, because it was the big topic, for du jour. Now, it's moved on to Dirt Neck and the Lion and things like that, and then Jeremy Pruitt and the sensationalism of these trumped-up charges that they got.
We need to get a bell
going
every
against
time
him.
you say it. We ding it.
But really, honestly, it was the first major story of the offseason.
Yeah.
Because they tried to run Brian Harsin off when he lost the Iron Bowl, and then they didn't show up against Houston, in the Birmingham Bowl. But again, when you look at it, they did lose 5 in a row, but a lot of them were excruciatingly close. At one time, they were, after they upset Ole Miss in Oxford, they were, ranked, I think, in the top 16 in the country. So they had a tough ending to the season. If they had beaten Alabama and won the bowl game, there would have been nothing said. Because they would have beaten their biggest rival, got a bowl game win, probably had more momentum in recruiting, but they lost the 5 in a row, including the bowl. The recruiting was average to end the season, and now because of that, and that's what happens when you try to run the coach off.
Right.
It's been slow this year. Now, if they start the season 4-1, 5-0, I think recruiting is definitely going to pick up. And they have Big Cat Weekend. We talked to Cole Pinkston of Auburn Live on 3 about that yesterday.
All right, coming up to kick off hour number 2, we had John Talty on, 2 weeks ago? Well, SEC Media Days.
I actually got that book, and I haven't started it yet, but, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We've got John Talty throws out another little nugget from his book. Wait till you hear this one. We'll explain it all when we return to kick off Hour 2 of Talking Ball.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Right now, you can get $50 worth of Bad Daddy goodness for just $25 with our zone deals. Log on 977ESPN.com now to get your deal before they're gone.
The Trash Pandas are back and better than ever. Single game tickets for the 2022 Trash Pandas season are on sale now. This season's promotions include all new giveaway items, specialty jerseys, holiday games, and fireworks all season long. Reserve your seat now while you still can at TrashPandasBaseball.com. Let's rock it.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. It looks like we're all clear accident-wise now. I'm not seeing anything. You be careful on your trip in. Put some extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something goes wrong around you. Cajun Rice is back at Popeyes, and their 11-piece chicken family meal with 2 sides and 5 biscuits is now only $22.99. Popeyes, University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Tuesday, expect scattered showers and thunderstorms, otherwise a partly cloudy sky. High temperatures topping out in the lower 90s for the afternoon. Heat index values will remain in the 100s. For your Tuesday night, a partly cloudy sky, low temperatures falling into the mid-70s for the overnight. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The Braves at the Phillies tonight in Game 2. Atlanta minus 167 on the money line. Philadelphia plus 137, the over-under. With the second half of the season in full swing, the Dodgers are the heavy favorites to take home a National League pennant at minus 5,000 after opening and minus 200 before the season. The Padres are at plus 1,600 and the Giants at plus 1,660. Most recent American League odds much tighter with the Yankees at plus 275 and the Astros plus 375. The NFL preseason underway a week from Thursday ahead of Hall of Fame weekend. The Jaguars and Raiders in Canton. The Buffalo Bills, the favorite to win the Super Bowl at plus 600. Tampa Bay plus 700 and the Chiefs and Packers plus 1,000. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And it is time for Hour 2 of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. 60 more minutes of fun. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show with your questions and comments this morning if you so choose. And as we were teasing going into the break, I'm going to kick off Hour 2. We had John Talty on. Formerly of AL.com, with AL.com.
No, he is still. He's still the SEC insider there.
Yep. Doing all kinds of good stuff. Wrote a book on Nick Saban. We broke it down with John Talty. We did. He gave us a lot of good little stuff, a lot of good nuggets. It's The Leadership Secrets of Nick Saban, a new book by John Talty. And another excerpt has come out from this book, and it was kind of interesting because when we talk about Alabama, we talk about generally 3 or 4 things every year.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, is Alabama going to go undefeated in the West? Number 2, are they going to win the SEC championship, and are they going to win a national championship? Those things are discussions we have every year. I mean, you go to SEC Media Days, that's the discussion among everyone. I mean, that's how big is Alabama going to win? What are they going to win? The other question is, how long will Nick Saban be at Alabama? That is the question that everybody wants to ask all the time. Nobody has the answers. The only person that has that answer is Nick Saban himself. In the new book, The Leadership Secrets of Nick Saban, John Talkin points out that after the kick 6 in 2014, after that kick 6.
At the end in December of 2013. Yeah.
Yep. That after that game and after all of that, Nick Saban was pondering leaving Alabama.
Yeah.
And going to ESPN to work with College Game Day. So much so that he picked up the phone and set a meeting and had a meeting with the powers to be with ESPN.
Yeah, he
had a power with his agent and Syracuse athletics director John Wildhack, who was then the senior executive at ESPN, and he was wanting to find out everything about ESPN, College Game Day, find out everything, because he was, I don't know how serious it was. I don't know to say 80%, 50%, 60%, but mulling going into TV and leaving college football.
Yeah, I mean, it was there was some frustration at the end of the 2013 season. Alabama was undefeated. They should have beaten Auburn that day in the kick 6. They were up 21-7. They weren't able to hold the lead. They weren't able to finish the game off. They lost in overtime. We all remember how it ended. Then they were flat in the Sugar Bowl. Lost to Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma Sooners. We remember how Stoops ran his mouth about the SEC, blah, 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 all that. It was actually the coming out party for Derrick Henry, who had a breakout game in that game at the end of his freshman year. He kind of foreshadowed what he was going to do for the rest of his career. But, there was some frustration. I think Miss Terry Saban was a little bit frustrated as well. I think they were thinking, are we being taken for granted here? I mean, where is the program going to be? So I think Coach Saban explored all his options. I definitely think the Texas Longhorns came after him hard. They were thinking about, pushing Mac Brown out the door and into retirement if they could get Nick Saban, but they couldn't work out that deal. But you already mentioned what he did. He reached out to Nick Kahn, who is a media talent agent with CAA. CAA, the same agency that his agent, the super agent, the coaching agent, Jimmy Sexton, a part of, to set up that meeting to discuss being a big part of College Game Day with Kirk Herbstreit, who he has a really good relationship with. I think we all understand that. Probably one of the closest in the media that Coach Saban has. And you mentioned, I mean, at the time, with the Syracuse AD, John Wildhack was,
he was with ESPN.
He was a senior executive, with ESPN, and they all met and hashed it out. And I think Coach Saban thought seriously about it. It certainly would have been a lucrative deal, not what he's making in coaching, but he would have been. He had already accomplished so much. He'd already won 3 national championships at Alabama in 09, 11, and 12, and nearly won it all in that 13 season. Would have been 3 in a row. But I think once he decided and he hashed out his options with Texas, I don't think he liked the fabric of that program and how many people want a hand in it as far as boosters and everything. He wasn't confident in being the one voice, because we all know Texas is one of the most overrated football programs in the history of man.
They're going to go 11-1 this year. But, they're going to go 11-1, and they will be back.
I hope they've done some tackling drills. That's all I'll tell you. But again, we'll see. But he decided not to go there. And then, of course, he's going to explore his options in television. ESPN College Game Day is a staple of that network. and a staple of college football. I think he enjoys television, but it's still not coaching. And I go back to something that Dean Smith told people before his health declined, that he felt like if he could do it over again, and no disrespect to his longtime aide, Bill Guthridge, who took over, went to a Final Four, and did a nice job for a few seasons, taking over that Carolina program. But he felt like he got out too soon. And he was like, so you only get a chance usually one time to do that. And he's like, I really feel like I should have kept coaching. And Nick Saban's wired that way. He said many times since he was a kid, he's always had a team. He's either been a part of a team or coached a team. And so I just think overall he explored his options, and then and good for the University of Alabama, of course, that he stayed, and he's won 3 more national championships.
The ESPN offer will always be there. I mean,
yes,
when he decides to step down or walk away, that ESPN offer will still be there. It's not going to go anywhere.
Oh, there's no question. I wouldn't be surprised if he retired in 5 years. I'm just throwing it out there that, if he eventually replaced Lee Corso, because Lee Corso has done it for 30 years and been such a staple on there. But eventually Coach is going to have to retire. His health has declined some.
2027. That would put him coaching through the 2027
I wouldn't be surprised
season.
if they tried to build it around Reese Davis, Nick Saban, Kirk Herbstreit, and all those guys. So I wouldn't be shocked if Coach Saban made the transition to television. I think he would still want to be around the game, okay, even if he retired from coaching on the sidelines. I think he loves the game that much, and he's good at it. He's very well-spoken and articulate, and I think we've seen him on TV do some guesting at times when, if in the postseason when Alabama has not been, which has been rare, a part of the college football playoff or the national championship game, but he's done a great job.
Yeah, they've not
They've
ever
missed
been
the playoff
part
once.
of, yeah.
2019, because Tua Tagovailoa got injured, and then they weren't able to pull out the Iron Bowl. But again, I think Coach Saban will stay in the game of football because, for one thing, I think it would drive his wife bananas if he was at home all the time.
Yeah, he alluded to that. And he alluded to that in his opening remarks at SEC Media Days.
Yeah, he did.
He pledges the refrigerator. He does all that other stuff, but
he's glad when he can go be the head coach of practice, and instead of, because he's not the head coach at home.
No, he is not.
Right.
Something I know that you are dying. Okay, look. Last week we spent the week in Atlanta. We had a great time. SEC Media Days. Okay. We got to sit down. You and I did one-on-one with Greg Sankey. Mm-hmm. Great conversations. We had great conversations all week. Great time. But I know there's one media day and there's one commissioner that you really want to go see, and that would be the Big Ten Media Days.
Kevin Warren. Does he know what day it is?
Well, he better, because today, in about 45 minutes, he is going to kick off the Big Ten Media Days. The Big Ten Media Days are 2 days, by the way.
Does his son still play at Mississippi State, by the way, since he wanted to be a winner?
I don't know. Because that was the whole story when we had COVID, right?
Yeah, because he was coming to watch Mississippi State because they didn't want to play football until November because they're a bunch of sheep.
And they do what
Joe says.
There we go. You got to finish
And Dr. Liar, I mean Fauci.
Yeah, by the way, he said everybody needs to wear masks again indoors.
Oh, I know. Shut up. Just shut up. I don't want to talk about that idiot.
Oh, Kevin Warren or Dr. Fauci?
Both.
Well, we're going to talk about Kevin Warren.
Remember, there's an all of the above button.
I used that a lot in tests when I was in school.
Yeah, me
all
too.
Of the above.
C.
They always tell you, if you got to guess C.
Yeah.
Didn't always work. Today, by the way, Kevin Warren does kick off the Big Ten Media Days. Greg Sankey used his platform very wisely, I thought, to talk about name, image, and likeness, to talk about conference expansion, because of the SEC and all that has gone on with the Big Ten. This will be, I want to say, the first time. I know Kevin Warren has highlighted a little bit about it, but this will be the first time that the media gets full on about him adding USC and UCLA to the Big Ten, but that comes at 9 o'clock, 9:15, by the way, a little over an hour.
Yeah, and so it was today the first day?
Today is the first day,
Okay.
and then so they do theirs a little bit differently. They only do it 2 days, and so they have 7 coaches come today. Scott Frost, Mike Loxley, PJ Fleck, Kurt Ferentz, Tom Allen, Pat Fitzgerald, Jim Harbaugh, all in one day. And by the way, all the coaches speak and are done by 12:45 today.
Good Lord, they don't take it serious over here. They need one of those Coach Bryant phone calls. Hey, is anybody taking this serious?
And
Anybody?
then tomorrow, Jeff Brom, Brett Bielema, Mel Tucker, Greg Schiano, James Franklin, Paul Chris, and Ryan Day. Tomorrow they start at 10 o'clock. My bad, they're actually done by 11:45 today.
Oh.
Tomorrow they start at 10, and they're done by 11:45. Now, what they do in the Big Ten is a little bit different. And when I did one Big Ten Media Day, you actually set up as a TV station or radio station. You set up in a little booth.
Right.
And they make their way around to you.
They come to you.
And you get like 10 minutes with them.
Oh, wow.
And they sit down, you get them, they move on, and it's just like...
Well, it's about making connections. So this is what we're probably going to. This is what we're going to do later. This is a programming update for everybody. I made a new connection in the media, and was able to speak with her and sit next to her and get some airtime.
Yes, you did.
She's a lot better looking than me, of course.
Yes,
I have a
she
face
is.
for radio, but
yes, you
Lane
made a
Higgins of the Wall
connection.
Street Journal. Yes, we're going to try to get her on. She will be. She told me she is headed to Big Ten Media Days. Yeah, they do it a little bit different. It's not as much pomp and circumstance.
No, it's 2 days. They're in,
as she
and
said,
they're
in, they're out. They're not like the SEC. She came to the
No.
first 2 days of the SEC. It was the first time ever coming to SEC Media Days, and so we're gonna try to catch up with her and ask her how many lies Kevin Warren told.
She stole your Nick Saban question.
Yeah, I
by
know,
the
but
way.
she did it. It was a good question though. She got the best answer. Now, I was sitting there, and the guy had the microphone, and they were still taking questions. I'm like, hopefully I'm next, and then the guy gets up and leaves. And I'm all disappointed. Now, Steve Moulton, our esteemed program director and the co-host of The Drive, did go to the electronic media room and get that question in about the cornerbacks. But I was sitting there locked and loaded. And she had a good question, but I had another good one myself.
You mean the question about student reporters and stuff?
Oh, good Lord. She wouldn't ask something that stupid. I mean, this was the one she asked about NIL, which is something you knew was going to come up. You know what I'm saying? But and again, I told her good question because she got a good answer. It was actually a relevant question. Not some 3 or 4 of them were just utter stupidity from people that have no business asking questions. Some of these people, you're getting a chance to ask the greatest coach in the history of the sport a football question, and you ask stupidity like some of the stuff you heard. It makes your ears bleed. It really does. It's like, how the hell did you get a credential? What the hell are you asking?
Oh, folks, that's what it's like when you. That is. There we go. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline.
I mean,
and,
our esteemed listener Brandon texts in and does ask a legit question. Would anybody even know it's Big Ten Media Days if they didn't let you know? I guess in the Midwest they would. Not here.
What, if you didn't know?
Yeah, if we didn't just, or if, and I will say Lane did tell me, because I thought she was going directly from the SEC to the Big Ten. I was like, is that this week too? She goes, no, it's next week.
But see, now they have theirs inside Lucas Oil Stadium.
It's in Indianapolis where, it's at least not, this time it's not going to be, 9 degrees. Now, you could still go to.
You could go to the what is it, the Slippery Noodle.
Yeah, we could go. Yeah, I mean,
we could see Marty at the Slippery Noodle and have a pork tenderloin.
Our pork tenderloin sandwich. I mean, I don't know if there'd be as many people as there was. I mean, we knew we were going to catch COVID after that event, but but it was still an unbelievable atmosphere, though. I mean,
it was.
Good grief on that stage. It was unreal. All the people.
It was a good time.
As our good friend Hunter Royer kept saying, a lot of dogs around here.
There were a lot of dogs.
Yeah, I mean,
football fan.
And unfortunately, no Grady the Greek. No, he didn't make that trip. But
he did not. He was disappointed though. Remember,
yeah,
Coach said that. By the way, think about this, though. We are less than a month away from getting Grady the Greek back on.
Yeah, we are, because he remember, Grady doesn't pick basketball.
No, he just picks football games for us
every week during college football season.
Gosh, he'll be a fifth grader.
Yeah, the fifth grader, right? The fifth grader.
He'll be our fifth grader prognosticator, because he was our third grader, then he was our fourth grader, and then he'll be our fifth grader.
Our fifth grader prognosticator.
Yeah. All right, we got to get that break in because when we come back, I know, we got way off the beaten path. Missouri football talk next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Working a wreck in Limestone County, Hatchet Road, sounds like it's near Nuclear Plant Road. That one reported as an injury type. Everything else has been running pretty smooth. We've had a couple of accidents earlier. They've been cleared for quite a while now. Heavy traffic load, a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
And now a small business setback. Set to smooth jazz.
It's late. You're driving in the rain with only one thing on your mind. The deer about to total your HVAC van. But with Progressive's 30-plus customizable coverage options, you're covered. The rest is just saxophone.
When running your small business gets rough, Progressive Commercial is there to smooth it out. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Twinkly sound.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Coming up next, it's the Tom Abraham Show with me, Tom Abraham. Now back to more Talking Ball with Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, and SEC Media Days have come and gone. And the fun thing is you get to see all the coaches. You get to see everything. You get to see all the stuff that goes on. And the media, we do pick our poll, and we do, the SEC West was a tough one to pick this year because you never know what's going to happen there. We talked about Auburn, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Where do you slot all of them?
Yeah,
the
2
SEC,
through 7 is tough.
Yeah, the SEC East, I think, is a little easier to pick, maybe, because Georgia's going to be number 1, you would expect. Number 2, 3, and 4, that's difficult. The bottom half of the SEC East, though, I think is a little bit easier to slot because Vanderbilt, we know, we just heard from Chris Lee. Clark Lee's got an awful tough task there. They're going to be in the bottom. Eli Drinkwitz and Missouri, they're there as well. The media has them picked 6th in the East, behind South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Georgia. Is that safe? Is that where Missouri needs to be? I mean, is that where Eli Drinkwitz has his team?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, they hope to be better. I know they didn't get the win in the Armed Forces Bowl. The Army Black Knights beat them on basically the last play of the game, 24-22. It was a tough loss. They ended up 6-7. Connor Bazelak, their quarterback, had trouble staying healthy last year. He moves on to Indiana and to play for Tom Allen and those guys. So it's going to be interesting to see, how the quarterback situation plays itself out. They pursued guys like JT Daniels, who ended up at West Virginia, to try to they pursued a few guys in the portal at the quarterback position. I thought it was interesting. Coach Eli Drinkwitz didn't shy away from the fact that they were looking to upgrade their roster and looking to be aggressive in the portal. They got Luther Burden III, the best player in the state of Missouri, committed. A guy that could have gone to Georgia, could have gone to Alabama, decommitted from Oklahoma. He's a big-time receiver. He had a big-time spring game, so we'll see. I mean, they've had 2 straight top 20 recruiting classes. I don't think Drinkwitz is having problems recruiting. I think he's getting good players. They just need to be more consistent on the field, and that's going to be the key. I mean, I think Mizzou, they could move up. I think they could be, if things fell perfectly for them, they could move up into the top 3 or 4 in the SEC East potentially. They, under Gary Pinkel, have been to 2 SEC championship games, unlike Dirt Neck, because Texas A&M has never been to the SEC championship game, never been to the SEC championship game, never been to the SEC championship game.
Have they been to the SEC championship game?
Never.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that
hopefully they'll never go, at least while he's coaching. And then maybe he can go do television somewhere and lie to everybody. Or coach or host. Let's make a deal. I don't care what he does. I just think he's a clown.
So okay, I got to ask you this though. I know we're talking Missouri, and we will. Mitchell Forty will.
No, we're going to be talking to Dave Matter of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
But we're going to talk Missouri here in just a second. But you did get your question in to Jimbo Fisher at SEC Media Days.
Yeah,
you did get it in there. Were you not satisfied with the answer that you got from Jimbo Fisher?
No,
I
thought I was satisfied he lied again. It was typical Jimbo. He talked really fast, and that was another stupid question that was asked by somebody. It was funny, but it was still stupid. Why do you talk so fast?
Yes.
But he talked fast and he dodged it because he's just not, a truthful guy. I mean, he's never told the truth his entire coaching career, so what would you expect? He's never been able to run a program consistently. He didn't at Florida State because this is only his second head coaching opportunity. His first was, of course, he was the coach in waiting for Coach Bowden at Florida State. And then he won a lot of games, but, of course, I never thought his teams were consistent, though. And then he's living off this national championship. Gus Malzahn gift-wrapped him, and he's trying to take this Texas A&M program to heights we haven't seen.
All right. We're going to talk more Missouri here in just a second. I'm looking. Bill Bender has put a picture out of Big Ten Media Days there in Lucas Oil Field.
Yeah, Bill's going to be there.
And
front and center.
Let me tell you what, it looks dramatically different than what we had. Than what we had this past week here. I mean, come on, we were at the College Football Hall of Fame. I mean, does it get much better?
I got to ask, you grew up in Iowa and you worked in the Big Ten for a little bit. Where was it when you were covering?
It was in a hotel. I think I want to say the Hilton or something like that. Marriott, downtown Chicago. Okay. It was in downtown Chicago. And we would drive in
Yeah.
You would drive in the day of because Chicago was 3.5 hours from our home. You could drive in the day of. You go, you do it, you stay the night, you wake up, you do it, and you come back. I mean, it was bam, bam, and you're done. Same setup for basketball, by the way.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, let's flip our attention back to Missouri. We were talking about Missouri, the expectations. Can Eli Drinkwitz, put something together? Can Missouri surprise people in the East this year?
Year 3 for Elijah Drinkwitz, and who better than to break it down? He's really the best there is. When it comes to covering Missouri. We've spoken with him in the past. He was at SEC Media Days. He does a great job covering Mizzou athletics for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, at St. Louis Today on Twitter, and he's author of 3 books when it comes to the Mizzou Tigers, and that is Dave Matter, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline this morning. Dave, thanks for taking some time this morning. You're with Drew and Scott in Huntsville, Alabama. How are you?
Hey, guys, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking the time, man. Your thoughts on what Coach Drinkwitz said? I thought he was very forthright last week at SEC Media Days and the expectations for his program. They heavily pursued some guys in the transfer portal. They brought in some pieces. They didn't get the QB piece, so they're going to go with what they've got on their roster now. But it looks like they got some good news, too, with the draft with Sam Horn. So where do we stand with Missouri?
Well, it's a program that's trying to make progress on the field. This has been even before Drinkwitz got there. If you go back since Gary Pinkel retired, they've been a 500 program, and everyone's aware of that. They've never really been bad, but they've never really been good. They've just been towing that 500 line for the last 2 years or the last 6 years, really. And so they want to see progress. They want to see a team that is more competitive against the best teams on the schedule, not lose games to teams they are favored to beat, which hasn't happened a lot under his watch. But, they've kind of fallen off late in the season the last 2 years, and he just wants to see what you should see in year 3 of a program is start to really look like, an SEC program that's up and running and competitive and built to, just win more games. And we'll see if they're fit to do that.
In the SEC, there are certain positions that are a must. You have to have a good offensive line, a good defensive line, and a quarterback. We thought Missouri had a quarterback in Connor Basilick, but he transfers. What does Missouri have?
Well, they've got a wide-open competition right now. They've got Brady Cook back, a redshirt sophomore who started their bowl game and played pretty well in their bowl game. Wasn't the reason they lost by any means. They've got Tyler Macon, a redshirt freshman who played a little bit last year, but got some ground to make up. They've got Sam Horn, like you mentioned, true freshman, who was, a possibility to be taken in the MLB draft, but didn't go, and that works in Missouri's favor. And then they bring in 7th-year transfer Jack Abraham, who was last at Mississippi State, was a starter for a couple of years at Southern Miss, an older guy. He's thrown a lot of interceptions in his career, but he's someone that you can bring in who is at least used to learning new offenses and adjusting and is just an older, more mature guy. And so I think he's got a chance to win the job. It's going to be him or Cook, I would think, but they're letting camp decide that. And so we'll see. They've basically got 4 weeks to figure that position out, and really all season, because I don't think the guy who starts the first game is necessarily going to be the guy who starts the last game either.
And is there any pressure on Coach Drinkwitz? Because I kind of felt like back in 2018, and there's no crime in this. Barry Odom, I just felt like wasn't a good fit as a head coach. I know he did a really good job at Memphis and at Missouri as a DC, but I really thought there was talent in that program. I thought, Dave, and I know you covered that game in Tuscaloosa, I thought I went to every home game that year and covered every home game. I thought that Mizzou team led by Drew Lock was the most physically talented team that Alabama played inside Bryant-Denny that year. They ended up going 8-5. They probably should have won 10 games that season. But so there's been talent in this program. But is there any pressure now on Coach Drinkwitz heading into year 3?
Well, I think there's always pressure. I don't think you have to win this many games to keep your job pressure, because the saving grace for Eli is he's recruited really well. Back-to-back top 20 classes. Number 1 wide receiver in the country is going to be on the team this year, Luther Burden. He's done a better job as the years go on in the transfer portal. So I think that sort of buys him time. But, you know, at some point, fans are going to want to see, and the administration is going to want to see progress and kind of step out of this, this 500 realm that they've been in for so long. But yeah, I think he puts, he'll put as much pressure on himself than anybody else. He wants to win. He's always been associated with teams that go to bowls and have winning seasons. Most of his career, obviously, as an assistant coach. But I think there's a sense of pressure, but not like, hey, this is guys on the hot seat kind of pressure.
Mm-hmm. And then when you look at it defensively, that's kind of been the revolving door, though. He's on his third defensive coordinator in 3 years. They really struggled on that side of the ball since he's been there. He's an offensive guy. He's worked closely with Gus Malzahn, a lot of great offensive minds. But talk about the outlook defensively. It just seemed like last year he went the NFL route with Steve Wilks. It didn't seem like it did fit.
No, it didn't fit at all. Steve Wilks, it took him half the season to kind of get acclimated to the college game. He had been coaching the NFL for 15 years, and by the time he got things sort of figured out and they were playing halfway respectable defense, it was just too late to really salvage the season. So he goes out, and the plan was to keep Steve Wilks. They weren't planning on getting rid of him, but he did take an NFL job with the Panthers shortly after the season, and I think he kind of opened the door for Drinkwitz to reset that staff. And it started with Blake Baker, who comes from Miami, where he was a coordinator and has had some good years as a college coordinator, Louisiana Tech, and then at Miami. And the advantage there is this is a college guy. He knows the college game. He doesn't have that learning curve that Steve Wilks had. He's been a really good recruiter in his short time at Missouri, but throughout his career. And also he's somebody that knows Eli. They've coached together before in the past. So I think that gives them a leg up to where they were a year ago. The one challenge is, for your veteran players now, they're learning their third system in 3 years. So they wanted to keep some things similar to last year and not just dramatically change everything they're doing. But again, he's got to get this position figured out. Like you said, Eli is the offensive coach, spends all the time with the offense, but you need some continuity and stability on the other side of the ball at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously the schedule, though, for Missouri, is it favorable for them in this year 3 to where they can kind of start to show a lot of progress?
Yeah, I think so. There's no easy schedule in the SEC. But
no, there's not.
If you start with your 2 crossover games, you go to Auburn. They're picked last in the West. If you're going to pick anybody to play on the road in the West Division, I guess you would pick Auburn, maybe Mississippi State. You get Arkansas at home, and they're a top 20 team. I think they've moved along as a program faster under Sam Pittman than Missouri has under Eli, so at least you get that game at home. You got a tough road non-conference game at Kansas State. Now they're not picked to win the Big 12, but that is a tough road environment for a young, untested quarterback, whoever that might be. Not necessarily young, but fairly new as a starter in this program. So yeah, there are some challenges there, no doubt, and that's just the price you pay for playing in the SEC. It's not the toughest schedule in the SEC, but when you're coming off a 6 and 7 year and you've got questions at quarterback, they're all going to be tough.
Yeah, and we're talking to Dave Matter, is the St. Louis Post-Dispatch beat writer. He's covered Missouri for many, many years, as we said, written 3 books on the Mizzou Tigers. If you're talking Mizzou, this is the guy to speak with, and he's given us a lot of intel going into year 3 for Coach Drinkwitz. In your mind, you talked about the quarterback battle being wide open, Dave, as camp's about to start. What other battles are there to watch positionally on this football team, either offensively or defensively?
I'd say the running back position. Last year Tyler Beatty grabbed that job and ended up leading the SEC in rushing.
Yeah, people forget that. He had a great year.
He did. Doak Walker Award finalist, set Missouri's regular season, single-season rushing record. And Drinkwitz is historically, now he hasn't had a long career as a play caller, as a head coach. He's usually gone with one running back and kind of not really lean toward a committee. But this team kind of looks like a running back by committee group, unless just one guy emerges like Beatty did last year. They bring in Nathaniel Pete from Stanford. He's a Columbia, Missouri native who was a really good kick returner for Stanford and part of a running back committee out there. did a nice job. They've got Tavares Jones, a 4-star from El Paso, coming in that they really, really like, that they were able to beat out some pretty good programs for in recruiting that I think has a chance to win the job. Then they've got a handful of guys that return. They've got a walk-on who led Division II in rushing last year, who they really, really like, from St. Louis, Cody Schrader, who I think could be part of the mix. So that's going to be an interesting position to watch, just to see how many guys do they want to play? Do they want to be one guy? Do they want, like it was last year and really the year before with Larry Roundtree, or do they want to split those carries up?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting dynamic. And then defensively, I know they've added some pieces in the portal, including Tyron Hopper. How much better can they get? Because I know, like we just talked about, they're on their third coordinator, but they're trying to have some continuity with it systematically with what they're doing. With these additions that they've had, I know they've added some pieces along the D-line. How much better can they be defensively with the Tigers?
Oh, they can be much, much better. I mean, they had first 6 weeks of the season, you could make the case they were the worst Power 5 defense in all Power 5. But they've got some good pieces back. You know, Isaiah McGuire, I think, is an all-SEC candidate at defensive end. You know, they've got some competition at defensive tackle, but they brought in Jaden Jernigan, a starter on a really good Oklahoma State defense. You mentioned Tyron Hopper. They thought he was outstanding when they played Florida last year. I think he had like 13 tackles in that game and really came on strong late. They were able to get him through the portal. They're set at safety. They've got 4 guys to rotate back there. Brought in Joseph Charleston, a starter for Clemson, to compete there. Got some questions at cornerback a little bit. Chris Abrams-Drain comes back from playing nickel last year, was a really good player in the SEC. Once conference play got going, he moves outside to outside corner, but you know, there's some depth concerns there. At least they've got to develop some depth. So we'll see, but I think there's obviously some good potential there. They were playing better as the year went on, but they have to get off to a better start. They just can't afford to be as bad as they were, you know, in September last year.
Yeah, I asked Coach Drinkwitz about Chris Abrams-Drain, kid from Spanish Fort here in our state, and I know he started out at receiver, but they moved him to DB. He seemed to really take to it like a fish to water. He's one of the better athletes on this team.
Yeah, he really is. You know, and Steve Wilkes' scheme, they would play with 3 corners on the field all the time. So he played that nickel spot inside. He's a good tackler for not being the biggest guy, but, you know, kind of a natural ball hawk. Would just go after the ball, and you know, if he's not picking it off, he's knocking it down. Now under Blake Baker, they go to a base system that uses 3 safeties instead of 3 corners. So they'll move him outside. He did miss the spring. He had shoulder surgery like the day after the bowl game. But he's a guy they know will be ready. They really were impressed with him last year, and he'll be the number 1 corner on this team going into the season for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Dave, you talked about the schedule a little bit, but you know, you look at how this lines up. That I agree with you. That trip to K-State's interesting. Former Big 12 rival there. And I believe this will be their first trip to Auburn since they joined the league.
Yeah, it is. It's the last place that they haven't been to since joining the SEC. They have played Auburn, played them in the championship game, and Gary Pinkel's under Gary Pinkel in their second year in the league, and then they hosted Auburn one year when Barry Odom was coach. Was not a pretty game for the Tigers at all, for the home Tigers. So yeah, first trip to Auburn, you know, and a lot of Eli's staff has coached at Auburn. Obviously, that's where he got his coaching start under Gus. So it'll be sort of a homecoming for about half the staff, but it'll be all business and a really important game, important road test for this team, just to see how it's coming together.
Yeah. Kind of an important season, though, for Eli Drinkwitz, isn't it? I mean, I'm not talking hot seat. I'm talking about
establishing the program.
Yeah, just the confidence in restoring some faith in Missouri fans.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Missouri's they have an attendance issue. There's no doubt about that. They didn't hit 50,000 for any games last year. It is it's a very temperamental fan base. I'll say that. There's a hardcore that will be there every week, no matter the record, no matter the head coach. And I'd say that's probably 45,000 strong, maybe 40,000. But to win at Missouri, or not necessarily to win, but to attract all the eyeballs and to get the attention and maybe pull some Cardinal fans from St. Louis on a fall weekend, or pull some Chiefs fans from Kansas City on a fall weekend. you need to win, and then you need to get that bandwagon rolling so you can get crowds in the 60,000s instead. So we'll see if he can do that. Hasn't been able to. He did have the COVID year, so you can't hold that against him. But it wasn't happening a whole lot under Barry Odom either. So they need to rebuild this fan base, and you do that by winning.
Is it it's that same way with basketball, though, too, right? Right with Missouri?
It is. Basketball's been under kind of a longer funk. The expectation was that Missouri would go into the SEC and be a championship contender right away because that's what it was in the Big 12 and obviously in the Big 8 for a long time. And it just, just a series of maybe coaching mistakes. Mainly one, the Kim Anderson hire wasn't great. The Frank Haith hire ended up not being great. The Conzo Martin hire was good for a while, and then the program just kind of lost its momentum, lost its direction. So they really need Dennis Gates to get this thing rolling again so they can get, when Mizzou Arena is full, and it's one of the bigger, arenas in the SEC and in the country. They probably made it a little bit too big because those empty seats stand out when you've only got 10,000 and not 15. But yeah, it's very similar, and we'll see. For basketball at Mizzou, a Tuesday night game against South Carolina just doesn't bring in the fans like a Tuesday night game against Kansas or Kansas State or Iowa State would have done in the past. So fans are still kind of lukewarm, I think, to SEC basketball. And it doesn't help when your team just hasn't been very good for the last decade either.
Well, we're looking forward to at least the senior year for Kobe Brown. He had a big year last year, and, of course, his brother Caleb, both of them big parts of Dennis Gates and that new staff over at Mizzou. We're looking forward to that. And we're looking forward to this year. Final question for you, Dave. What's the ceiling in your mind for this Mizzou football team if everything goes well with this schedule?
It's a great question. I think some of it's going to have to come down to, some of these more recent hires in the SEC, maybe they have a little bit of a sophomore slump at Tennessee, maybe South Carolina, maybe the Florida hire doesn't work out great. I think a ceiling would be maybe 9-3. I think that's a little far-fetched. You're not going to beat Georgia. I don't care where that game is. You're not going to win all these road games. Missouri's kind of struggled historically against Kentucky, even though Drinkwitz did beat them his first year. But yeah, I just don't see them being complete enough if everything goes right that they can really be a player in the SEC East. But if they get this quarterback situation figured out, if Luther Burden is the real deal, if this defense is better than average, then yeah, I think they can pick off some of these kind of games that look like coin flips, and maybe just get back to where they were at the end of 2020, that COVID year, when it really looked like Eli was building something, and then took a few steps backwards last year.
Well, great stuff. Dave Matter, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Thank you, man. We really appreciate the time. We hope we can catch up with you during the season, but let everybody know how they can connect with you and your coverage of the Mizzou Tigers.
You can find everything at stltoday.com. Just look for our sports section, look for Mizzou, and it's all right there for you. Podcasts, stories, columns from our columnists. We got it all right there.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, my pleasure.
Good stuff there on the Missouri Tigers. Let's get that final break in. Your tomorrow's headlines roll your way next. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This time of year, it's hot. But with Brooks & Collier, you can be outside and comfortable. That's why Brooks & Collier has deep discounts on a large selection of patio umbrellas, furniture, and grills. With these patio umbrellas, you're sure to have a nice, shaded spot to relax. Lucy knows the best spot is a shaded spot. So if you're looking to spruce up your backyard and make it more comfortable, visit North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
Guys, when we were 20, we never had to worry about spontaneity. And now that we've gotten older, spontaneity has been replaced with pills and injections. We're just trying to keep that intimacy, but it's taken away from spontaneity. At Advanced Life Clinic, we now offer GainsWave, which uses sound waves to non-invasively treat this issue with no need for pills or injections. Just give us a call, 256-888-9367, or check us out online, advancedlifeclinic.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You'll be set for life. Hi, I'm Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia in Huntsville, Alabama. We are the proud transportation sponsors of Talking Ball at 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It is your tomorrow's headlines today, and I know it's been talked about ad nauseum. It was talked about on ESPN on Keyshawn, Jay Will, and Max. It was talked on that show that precedes us in the morning. Kyler Murray's new contract. The contract includes a mandatory independent study. Basically, they're going to send him to study hall for 4 hours a day, basically. He must study material provided to him by the team to prepare for the next upcoming game. Time spent in mandatory team meetings does not count toward the independent study time. He has to do at least 4 hours of independent study per game week during the season. He does not get credit for any period during the time that is like mandatory stuff. That does not count towards his credit.
Why are they paying this guy $40+ million if you don't think he's going to study film and be worth a darn? Has he ever won a playoff game?
No.
Could his head coach even win at Texas Tech with Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Why are they paying him this much money?
He shall not. He
They think he plays video games more than studies film, man. That's what they're saying.
Basically, that's exactly what they're saying.
I mean,
now, if he does not do all of this, okay, a breach in the contract, it could result in the whole thing being.
Are they going to have a camera in his house like we got here where they can watch him watch tape? How do you?
That would be awesome. That could be a television series. You could actually watch to see if Kyler Murray actually takes 4 hours a week.
I know they can they can. You can have a Huddle account where they can see how many times you log in, but he could just get his girlfriend to log in or something and not be watching.
Right, but he needs But listen though. 4 hours a week, basically, because it's 4 hours. You could, an
hour a day.
An hour a day. That's not in your mandatory meetings and all that other stuff. You could knock out 4 hours.
I don't know. He seemed to throw everybody under the bus last year when they crashed and burned. So I think he's a good player. I just don't know that he's elite. But, of course, these quarterbacks, it's the hardest position to cement in the NFL for you to be good. And the Cardinals' history, except for your boy Kurt Warner, is suckage. So,
pretty much.
I mean, that's why they're having to try to lock him up, I guess. I don't know, though. I'm not sold on him. I think he's good, not great. I don't know that I would have paid him $45 million or whatever the hell they paid him.
If it also says in there, the player is engaged in any other activity that may distract his attention, for example, watching television, playing video games, or browsing the internet while such material is being displayed or played, is prohibited.
Yeah.
So he cannot watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot play a video game. He cannot be on his phone. He has to be watching game film in order for this to.
That's all I'm going to tell you, man.
Do they send like a little intern to follow him around all day to make sure that this is exactly what he's supposed to be doing?
I have no clue on that, man. I mean, blows you away. Kind of like A.J. Minter last night when he gagged.
The Braves fall to the Phillies last night. It really is a pivotal series for the Phillies because they are still in wild card contention. Despite firing Joe Girardi several weeks ago, they are still in wild card contention.
Yeah, they're 4 games over 500.
Yeah, the Braves are still chasing the Mets. So this is a pivotal series for the Phillies. A big series for the Braves as well. You know, the Braves have been playing so well in the last month and a half. But did you know that as good as the Braves have been playing, the series finales, the Braves are like well below 500.
Yeah, they've had trouble sweeping series. So now they need to win the next 2 games to take the series.
3 out of 4.
Because they were 4 outs away last night, and they fall 6-4. And they haven't lost 3 games in a row, I don't think, all year. So this is going to be really interesting. They've lost 2 in a row because, as you said, they didn't finish the Anaheim series. Well, here we go again. Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And
call them whatever you want because,
whatever.
I mean,
they suck. Anyway.
It's the Druinary. You just call anybody anything that you want.
And now you've got Spencer Strider taking the mound tonight against Aaron Nola. But Nola's pitched well. He hasn't had a lot of run support. His ERA is 3.13. Strider's pitched well, so this is going to be an interesting matchup. Braves trying to even up this series, give themselves a chance to win the rubber game on Wednesday. So, and I believe Charlie Morton will be taking the mound. So this is going to be really interesting to see, if the Braves can bounce back tonight, because it looked like when they scratched that run across with the infield hit from Ozuna that they had a chance to win it. And really, Minter's been really good, but he got the first 2 outs on flyouts, and then 2 straight base hits, and then the 3-run bomb. So they've got to bounce back tonight, and they're still only 2 games back of the Mets, who are going to start a quick 2-game Subway series in Queens at home against the hated Yankees.
Yes.
The hated Yankees.
Yes, you do not like the Yankees.
Puke in the floor.
Yes, we've established that you like them almost as much as you like Texas A&M.
Yeah. Well, go Yankees.
Texas A&M, the worst of the worst for you, right?
Yeah,
right now, is that the worst of the worst?
Yeah. And it's football, not the other sports. I don't mind Schlossnagle. I don't mind Buzz Williams. Buzz Williams is a salt-of-the-earth guy. It's the football program ran by a scumbag. Thank you to Dave Matter of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Appreciate Chris Lee. We talked Vandy in Missouri. We appreciate Jeff from the Borough calling. We appreciate everybody texting in. We appreciate everybody listening to the program.
I already know who's going to get Moron of the Year for 2022. Is it safe to say that Jimbo Fisher gets the award?
Just mail us a plaque, Brandon, so we can put it on there.
We just got to go get the little sticker thing. We can go do that. Brandon's already given us the plaque.
Hey, by the way, happy birthday to Danny Anderson, great friend of the show,
Yes.
head basketball coach at Athens High School.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. We'll be back at it Wednesday morning. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Stay safe. See you tomorrow morning.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There's the knee, and Alabama has again done the job. You know, folks, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Alabama is still Alabama.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Today's hearing in the drug trial of WNBA star Brittany Griner in a Russian court focused on testimony that cannabis, while illegal in Russia, is regarded in other countries as having legitimate medicinal use. Griner contends that she had no criminal intent and that the vape canisters ended up in her luggage inadvertently because of hasty packing. The medical testimony and Griner's admission that she had the canisters is aimed at bringing her a mild prison sentence. The recently signed extension of Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray includes a rare clause that requires him to study film for 4 hours per week during the season in order to stay compliant with his $230.5 million deal. If he does not meet the independent study requirement, he'll be deemed to be in default, according to the contract wording. Much more on this next when ESPN's Dan Graziano and Mike Tannenbaum join Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
From the ESPN studios at Pier 17 in the Seaport District of New York City, this is Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on ESPN Plus.
Back and better than ever, Greeny presented by Progressive Insurance. Jam-packed today. Training camps open everywhere. We're waiting on Watson. We got Durant, potentially to Boston. Baseball races heating up. Our cup runneth over. Let's do this. Here we go!
Only one place to start.
Well, and the place to start will be with the training camps opening all across the National Football League. Delighted to be here, delighted to be back, delighted to have you with us, and delighted to have my friends Dan Graziano and Mike Tannenbaum good enough to stick around a few extra minutes after we wrap up Get Up this morning with a lot of big NFL news out there. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for your always your willingness to do this. Graz, let's just dive right in because there's so many big stories out there. Deshaun Watson is the biggest. We are waiting, and we do not have any update yet. The Browns are reporting for training camp today. He has been in their camp since last week. They have their first practice tomorrow, and yet we have heard nothing as far as a potential suspension.
There's a discipline officer named Sue L. Robinson who had the hearing about 3 weeks ago, and the next thing in this story is she renders her decision on what the appropriate punishment, if any, for Deshaun Watson is. It could come any time. Like, I could check my phone in 2 minutes and it could be there, or it could be next week. Like, we don't know. Obviously, everybody wanted this done before camp starts. That means probably today, but there's no guarantee it'll happen today. So the Browns have to go forward as of now with the unknown.
What are the things, Mike T., that the fans should be thinking about that? I have struggled trying to put together conversation about this story. It's obviously very interesting, and from a football perspective, extremely important, as well as even more important from non-football angles. But what are the things the football fan should be thinking about today?
Yeah, it's extraordinarily complicated. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you literally have to get 4 quarterbacks ready. So let's just go right through it. Deshaun Watson and Louis Riddick also alluded to this on Get Up, which is you want to get him some meaningful reps because he didn't play last year. So it's very unusual to have your franchise quarterback play in the preseason, but he's going to miss some time. We know that. So he has to play in the preseason. So we got to do that. Jacoby Brissett's your starter, presumptively, for at least no less than 4, probably 6, 7, 8 games. So he has to go in, getting all the reps, leading the meetings, and everything that goes attenuated with being your starting quarterback. Then you have 2 other sort of unproven quarterbacks, Josh Dobbs and Josh Rosen. They are literally 1 hit away from a team that has a chance to be really good. They need their reps as well, Greeny. So all 4 quarterbacks really need reps this preseason, which is very unusual.
Yeah, so we will have an eye and an ear on Cleveland. We have our reporter Jake Trotter there. He was with us this morning live on Get Up. So we will see if there's any update on that. And certainly, as soon as there's any news, you'll get it here immediately. I think there has been a general expectation that by the time they set foot on their field for their first practice tomorrow, that we would have some resolution to this. But again, there's no guarantee of that.
It's all just people guessing.
That's
Nobody.
right.
It's an unprecedented process. First time we've gone through this with a discipline case in the NFL, so no one actually knows.
Right. So to your point, we may not know this, and they could be on the field. And as someone said on our TV show this morning, they made their bed with this. They knew what they were getting into. They knew what was going on with Deshaun Watson when they decided to give him the contract and bring him in there. So it's hard to muster up a lot of sympathy for anybody in the circumstance. They'll just go through it as best they can. Greeny with you, presented by Progressive Insurance, a triple threat of protection with home, auto, and more. Visit Progressive.com. The next 2 things I want to touch on, let's start with the Kyler Murray contract between the 2. This got everybody talking yesterday. And in case you haven't seen or heard about it, it was leaked that in Kyler Murray's contract extension, a huge one with the Arizona Cardinals, there is a provision in it that states that he must complete 4 hours per week during the season of, quote, independent study, meaning away from team film sessions, he has to dedicate at least 4 hours of his week to studying film of his upcoming opponent. And if he does not do so, then he is in violation of the contract and they can void it. This is, to all of our knowledge, completely unprecedented in NFL history. And to be clear, 4 hours a week would be described as like the minimum amount of film that a punter might watch. The idea that a quarterback needs to have 4 hours a week assigned to him is bordering on insulting. So, I mean, Mike T., what is the reaction here?
Yeah, again, I see this differently from a standpoint that this could be a win-win in terms of clearly Arizona feels like they can win a championship with him. They're giving him a massive amount of guarantees. Now, from the other side, Kyler Murray is admitting that I have to do more. It's just shocking to see it in a contract, but the rationale makes sense to me. And look, once it's in a contract and it gets processed between the league and the union, contracts become public. So this is something that I'm sure Kyler Murray was told by his agent, this is going to get out there. And maybe this is the first step in the right direction, that he's admitting he's had a problem. And if we're looking back 3 years from now, maybe it's a situation where this turns into a win-win, where he understands what's required of being a starting quarterback, and they have a great run together.
I understand what you're saying, but it almost feels like a professionalism clause. You know, Dan Graziano, in your contract, it's implied that you will watch football games, right? I mean, like I'm trying to think of what would be an equivalent to this, right? But
I have to make a certain number of phone calls every day, or else they can get out of the contract.
Like the fact that there is a belief that it does suggest that the team doesn't trust him, right? Like they believe that unless your money is riding on this, that you will not do the work that everyone would involve. That everyone would agree. You don't have to have played football. That someone like me is well aware that the work we're assigning to you here is less than everyone else in your situation would likely do, but we're making you sign a piece of paper that suggests all your money rides on it. That does not seem to me like the team trusts him.
The fact that it's in the contract, that's the thing, right? Like, yes, it could be a win-win if the team and the quarterback can get together, and if in fact he needs to improve his study habits, and the team seems to think he does, and find a way to do that. But to require it contractually, this is not standard NFL contract language, right? I mean, like to require it contractually tells you that the team feels it's out of options, that whatever method the coaching staff and the front office have tried in terms of getting this point across to him over the 3 years he's been their quarterback has not worked. And so they have to tie it to his income. I think it's shocking. I really do. And you're right. Maybe it could be a win-win. But the fact that it's gotten to this point says a lot about the relationship between the team and the player.
But it also talks about how talented he is. I mean, just imagine if you're Steve Keim and your future is tied to the performance of your quarterback. Imagine how talented they believe he is, that they're willing to invest that much money in him despite all these challenges he's had.
Right. So there's that situation. And it's weird. One more. And that I want to get into with you guys today, and that was this anonymous quote that came from this story in The Athletic. And all of us, particularly Dan, you and I, were kind of tough on the whole idea of anonymous opinion. I want to make it clear, I don't have an issue with the person who put the story together, including it, or asking for it. What I think is cowardly is an anonymous NFL defensive coordinator saying, I don't care if he wins 12 MVPs, talking about Lamar Jackson, I still wouldn't put him in my tier 1 because he doesn't play quarterback. He'd be a tier 1 football player, but not a tier 1 quarterback. And that... I don't know. I'm taken aback at the way people continue. If you want to raise legitimate questions about whether he has the same longevity that some other really good young quarterbacks might because of the number of hits that he takes, that feels like a very legitimate conversation to have. If you want to raise questions about whether you can win playoff games and Super Bowls in the long run if you don't throw the ball from the pocket more consistently than he does, that's legitimate. But when you say things like, I don't care if he wins 12 MVPs, I'm still not going to put him in my tier 1. The only thing I can take from that is you have an agenda here. You have a specific issue with this person or this player, and thus your opinion sucks.
Yeah, I'm with you on the issue of anonymous opinion. And I think it's really important for people to understand from the reporter's perspective. We use anonymous sources to get information. That's different from publishing someone's anonymous opinion, and it's different in that it has more value, right? If I can tell you that Kyler Murray is signing a new contract with the Arizona Cardinals and they've agreed to terms. The person who told me that did not want their name attached to it. Then it's announced the next day that now you as my reader, viewer, listener have been educated. That's my job as a reporter. But to pass along someone's opinion, I always have a hard time with that. And I'll get even more granular if that's okay. If you have a defensive coordinator that's telling you what's wrong with Lamar Jackson's game, and this person does not want his name attached, but this person is willing to sit with you and show you tape, right? Here's a play that shows you what I'm talking about with Lamar Jackson. This is where he has to get better in order for me to consider him a top-tier quarterback. That has some value because then I, as the reporter, can pass that along, right? Here's an example of the kinds of plays when people see it. That has so much more meat on the bone than just someone's opinion saying, I would never consider this guy a tier 1 quarterback. Well, why not? Give me at least that. Give me at least an example, and that way I can educate my readers on it, because otherwise all I'm doing is passing along somebody's opinion.
And to be clear, just quickly, Mike, and I'll give you the floor. When you get a whole bunch, when you sort of collate whatever the word I'm looking for, is a whole bunch of opinion, then you are putting together a story that has some information in it. I don't mind
this is how this person is viewed.
Correct.
And people need to understand, I'm not being critical of Mike Sando, who works for The Athletic, used to work for us, used to do this article for us every year. He works his tail off on this, and he talks to a lot of people, and he puts it together. But unfortunately, in this era of aggregation, the one gets pulled out and becomes a headline, and here we are talking about it. So it kind of becomes even more important to be conscious of what you're putting out there in terms of other people's opinions.
So after this little journalistic TED Talk that we put together here, Mike T., what do you think of all of it?
No, similar, and maybe it's my background from having a law degree, but I always go to, what's the objective standard? So, look, plenty of times on our platforms, we'll criticize players. Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, I don't criticize Justin Herbert.
You love Justin Herbert.